Do you hate your job? Do you want to change jobs and you feel totally scared and overwhelmed when you think about how you will do that? If this is you, you're in the right place. I'm going to share with you a couple things today in this video. Number one, helping you to understand why you're so scared. And then actually 3 helpful tips to get you started on making a change that will lead you and help you get to a better fit role, a better fit future, and a happier future. So stay tuned. Hi. This is Coach Micah with Shinebright Career Coaching. We have created this channel here on YouTube to share with you the best practices that we have learned over the last 10 years as career coaches. We will share with you job search strategies, interview techniques, and all things job search related. So, welcome. Today I'm going to talk to you about what to do when you actually know you need to change jobs, but you're too scared to make a move. Stay tuned till the end of the video because I'm actually going to go through 3 steps that will make this process feel more attainable, accessible, and will help you to immediately start making movement towards that new job. And guess what? That's going to feel really good. So stay tuned. You got to make sure that you get all 3 steps. Let's start off by actually just naming where that fear is coming from, where that scared feeling inside is coming from. So when thinking about making a job change, you're thinking about drastically changing your day-to-day world. You're thinking about your livelihood, possibly your role in your family as breadwinner or supporter financially. So there's a lot of things to consider, and fear creeps up. And the reason it does that is because humans are actually biologically fine-tuned to not want to get uncomfortable. That's right. We don't like to get uncomfortable. That's why we stay in habits that keep us in the same place. We are avoiding things that feel uncomfortable, and that is a part of our biology. So changing your job, looking for a job that you actually cannot see yet through the clouds, feels intimidating and triggers our biological need to feel safe and comfortable. And we start to shut down and say, oh no, that change is too big of a change. It's better to stay where I am. So now that we have identified where that fear actually comes from, let's step into figuring out if you even need to make a change. This is step 1 of the process I'd like to share with you today. Why do you want to leave your current role? There are some very, very researched and common reasons that people leave jobs in America today. The number 1 reason that someone leaves a job, according to Gallup and their studies, is that they have a manager that they do not like. They feel that this manager is not encouraging their career development. They feel they are being treated unfairly and managed incorrectly. So it's the number 1 reason that people are unhappy in their jobs and they want to leave, and they will leave for that reason. Number 2 is actually if your work buddy leaves. So what does that mean, work buddy? But you actually know, don't you? We all have that safe person in our company or on our team where we feel like we can be our authentic self with. If that person leaves to go to a competitor, they've changed their career path, then we're often left feeling a void and also feeling unsafe in our environment where we used to have that person who was our confidant and our comrade. People will leave for this reason. Another common reason that people feel very unhappy in their jobs is that they just don't see that company going anywhere. They don't see growth opportunity for themselves. They feel like the company is misaligned with their values, and the environment often results in becoming a toxic environment. And a toxic environment can be one in which you are gaslighted in. It can be one in which where you are not motivated or you're not given tasks that you can succeed at. And continually staying in this type of environment where you don't align with the values of the company and the company is not showing up to help you as an employee be your best can be really detrimental. It can really exhaust us, overwhelm us, frustrate us, stress us out. So of course, people leave companies because they are in a toxic work environment. Even if you have the best manager in that environment, it's not enough. It's the day-to-day stress that just comes up. So if any of these reasons are resonating with you and you've been considering making a job change, take your feelings seriously. It sounds like it probably is time for you to make a job change. Before we move on to step 2, I would like to share with you just a pro tip. People often come to me as a career coach or even to find these videos like, is my job bad enough for me to leave? I'm getting a good salary, or it feels steady right now and the world feels unsteady. And the answer is, what is it going to be like for you if you stay in this job? If you think about this and you think, well, I've got benefits, I've got stability, and I know what I can expect from my boss, then maybe you don't need to make a change. Maybe it's just something that you need to look into finding ways to feel more motivated at work. But if you actually think about how it would feel to stay there for another month, 6 months, 1 year, and you kind of get dread or more fear in your belly, you start to immediately freeze up and think about, being overloaded with work or being mismanaged and not treated as an adult in your role. If you choose to stay in a role where it is a bad fit, there are actually very serious consequences to both our physical health and our mental health. People suffer from stress, insomnia. They start to lose a sense of self and identity. They lose their ability to focus. These are all symptoms of working towards burnout. And so it's important to not just think, oh, I should just stick this out because of A, B, and C, but rather to think about your mental health and your physical health as a part of the equation of do I stay or do I go? All right, step 2 of the process, once you've decided that yes, you need to go, you need to make the move, you're starting to squash the fear down, you've identified that it's going to be uncomfortable, but guess what? It's going to be very nice when you get to the next job and you feel comfortable and you feel motivated, and all those things that are missing from your current environment are hopefully fulfilled in this new potential job that's out there. So step 2 is actually figuring out where you want to go. And what I mean by that is, do you want to stay on your current career path? Do you want to stay on your current career path and level up? Do you want to make a total pivot? Or do you want to start your own company or go back to school? So there are a lot of options in front of us when we are choosing to leave a job. And that's another thing that kicks up that fear and that uncertainty, right? Is there's so many options. What am I going to do? And then we sit back in our discomfort and we try to kind of push through in our jobs. But that's not going to be you. So what you're going to do is figure out where you want to go. And if you are one of those people where you're like, okay, I am a project manager and I like what I do, then you are going to be able to define, I want a project management role in this industry. That's awesome. If you're somebody who says, I want to be on the same career path, but at the next level, then you are looking at the roles of other companies and organizations where they have your role and who's above it. What's the next level? And that answer, whether it is a director level or a VP level or a project manager that's got the senior project manager, whatever it is, that is going to be where you're going, right? So we want to know specifically what the role is, what the industry is, and what your goal is. And what the goal of those two things is stay on the same career trajectory and also to level up in the career. If you actually decide that you want to make a career pivot, then it's really necessary here to start considering what are the options. And if the career pivot is something that's just really top of mind and you feel connected to and you have clarity around that, that's awesome. You have figured out step 2. But if you're like a lot of the clients that come to Shinebright career coaching, they feel lost. There's so many options, they're not sure which one to choose, but they know that they don't want to stay on their current career trajectory. So if that's you, you need to start spending some time reflecting on what you like to do in your current role, what things you're drawn to, what potential jobs you've considered in the past and start making a list and researching and trying to really find that one focused area that you want to pivot into. If this feels challenging for you, I would really recommend talking to people in your network, talking to people that you know about the potential paths you're thinking about, and listen to what they share with you. The other thing is go outside of your network and look for a career coach. It's hard to make a total career pivot, and it's hard to do that when you feel unenergized and overwhelmed from your current role. So that career coach can certainly help you to carve out what that next step is for you in that new direction. And then people also will say, I'm leaving this job because I want to start my own business. So if that is true, spend time figuring out what that business is and what that looks like. Step 3. Step 3 is about creating a job search strategy. And that job search strategy can look really differently for each person. But I'll tell you, the number one thing that you should not do is just go directly to the job boards. So people will do this. They'll say, okay, I know I want to make this move. And they start going and spending, honestly, I've heard anywhere from 4 to 8 hours a day applying to jobs that they're seeing at Indeed, that they're seeing on the Muse, they're seeing on LinkedIn, and all of the others too. And the problem with this strategy, which I think is about like, oh, I'll just throw all the spaghetti on the wall and see which noodles stick. The problem with this strategy, well, there are a lot of problems, but the number one that I'm most concerned about when I see people doing this is the toxicity that you are actually opening yourself up to for this process. So you see something you get excited about. You spend all of this time updating your resume. You spend all of this time figuring out what that application system is. You get excited. You get that application in. You never hear anything back. Crickets. This happens so often, and there are so many reasons for this. And guess what? You will never find out the answer why they did not call you back or set up an interview. These reasons could be as simple as it wasn't really a viable job listing. They had an internal candidate. They needed to legally post that job for whatever reason. There's a hiring freeze going on in the company. You forgot to put your zip code on your resume, or you chose not to, and their software that filters resumes asks for a zip code because they don't want people working remotely. And on and on and on. There's so many reasons that this happens. So if you're spending 100% or 90% of your time in really just applying what we call blindly, you are not only setting yourself up to feel like a failure, but you're also not creating opportunity for yourself where you actually might get an opportunity to apply in person or through someone you know. So again, the next step is to create a job search strategy and to make sure that it's diverse, that it's got a lot of pieces to it. Some of the main components that we have found help our clients really be successful during the job search are to, number one, spend a lot of time figuring out your personal brand. What were your big successes in your last role? What do you feel like you naturally are good at? And do you have a brag sheet? Have you created a list of the things that you were really proud of in your career? This personal branding piece is something where you can sit down and look at a lot of different ways to use LinkedIn to highlight these wins, to highlight who you are on the resume and how you speak about yourself in networking. That personal brand, that special flavor of who you are and how you accomplish things is your unique value proposition. And you don't want to just kind of know how to talk about that in case it comes up in an interview, but rather you want to have spent a lot of time paying attention to, again, why would somebody want to hire you individually, you uniquely? And how can you talk about that in a way that feels authentic to you, that comes naturally? And how can you tell that story across the board when you are looking for a job, whether it's networking, whether it's on your social media presence, or, the traditional way on your resume. So personal branding is a big piece. The second piece I've already mentioned, but it's about networking. And people hear that word and they hate it. And we have a ton of videos you can watch about networking and how to not be afraid of it. But guess what? Bottom line is you need to talk to people. You need to reach out to people and let them know that you're looking and ask them questions and figure out, different ways that you can learn more about your industry, that you can learn more about companies that might be hiring. And you want to do this in an authentic way. So figure out the best way for you to show up. Is it reaching out to people via email? Is it, going to networking events, which, are coming back, and some people really appreciate them. Others are terrified. Don't do them then. But you don't have to show up and just be a mouthpiece. It's important to, once you've worked on that personal branding and you've really researched people that you want to talk to and you're reaching out to them, guess what? That comes together. And it starts to really feel good to have conversations like, hey, I'm looking for my next gig, and I'm unhappy for these reasons at my company. Do these reasons exist at your company? And so on and so forth, right? So you can have really rich conversations. And the bottom line is you do not know where they will lead. And that's what Shannon and I always love with our Shinebright clients. We have seen this type of outreach create job opportunities, give clarity to folks when they're looking to make changes. They learn more and more and more about different roles and different career paths or even companies because they're having conversations with people who are in it. So spend a good amount of time doing outreach, research, and networking. Another piece to diversifying the job search strategy is to, again, remind yourself that this takes time and you're going to spend your time in a multitude of ways. You're going to have conversations, be up on your UVP, be up on your personal branding. And at the same time, you're going to be working full time if you stay in that job that you dislike so much. And so don't burn yourself out. A big part of this last piece is to set a schedule, set small and attainable goals for yourself. If it's 15 minutes a day where you're sending out an email or two to have a conversation, do it. If that's too much, set a 30-minute timer on the weekend. But again, be intentional and set that schedule so it's not something that A, doesn't happen, or B, happens so much that you overwhelm your system and you stop. If you do these 3 steps, identifying again that you need to make the change, identifying where you want to go, and spending time with a thoughtful, diversified job search strategy, then you are going to feel better. You're going to already kind of gain clarity that you didn't think was even accessible, and that fear goes down. If you're one of those people that actually wants to start a business, these apply for you as well. Get out there and talk to people who are doing the business that you're interested in. Make sure you have that UVP down, that elevator pitch, if you will. Get out there and start talking, learning, researching in small, tangible steps. To start a business, there's a whole nother video about that in entrepreneurship that you can watch. This is about how to unlock yourself from that scared fear and start taking steps towards figuring out where you want to go, how you want to get there, and then guess what? Eventually getting there. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's always so nice to share these insights with our Shinebright community. If you like this video, please subscribe to our station and also leave any comments, questions, for us to answer. We'd love to share any further information with you. Thanks so much. Take care.